Hey everybody, this is Sally Hendrick with Shout Your Cause, and I have Dylan Wilkes and CJ Bryson with me today. Hey guys.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you doing, Dylan? CJ and I were talking before. How are you doing? You've been home, or no, you're in Tampa or
Yeah,
somewhere?
I'm in Tampa. I'm doing well. Things are, just trying to stay safe out there. But I'm doing good.
Good,
Yeah.
good. And how about you, CJ? Are you in Humboldt right now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Okay, so for those who don't know, I'm from Humboldt, Tennessee originally, and these guys are as well, and they are the sons of a really dear friend of mine named, well, I call her Camille Lipford. Her name is Carmela Lipford, but everybody calls her Camille. So I do too, because I've known her since I was tiny. And the way that we're connected, which is interesting, is that Dylan and CJ's grandmother, Maggie Lipford, um, helped raise me when I was a little bitty girl, and I really loved her and her daughters, Loretta and Camille. And we've been able to keep in touch after all of these years and over the years. And it's been a really great family relationship to have for me, and I hope for you guys as well.
Yes, it has been.
Good, good. Well, tell me what you're doing these days because I know you guys are really involved in the community and in the into your college careers and so on and so forth. And I want to hear, what have you guys done since you left Humboldt? Even though CJ, I know you're there right now, but you're actually in college. So tell me a little bit about what's going on. Whoever wants to go first, I don't care.
Oldest goes first.
What'd you say? Oh, this.
Oldest goes first.
Alrighty. So I graduated from Humboldt High School in 2011. So same high school that Sally and my mom and my aunt Loretta went to.
Mhm.
Then I went to the University of Tennessee in Knoxville and got my bachelor's of science and communications with a minor in business. And then I moved to Clemson, South Carolina to get my master's in education,
Okay.
specifically student affairs. So it's working with the other side of higher education administration. And so in the college world, you have academic affairs and then you have student affairs. And so we do that outside of the classroom engagement. And so I have spent 2 years there, and I am now in Florida, Tampa, Florida, working at the University of South Florida, where I'm a resident life coordinator in the residential education department.
Now, do you ever do any career type stuff too? Have you done some traveling to different places to recruit students? Am I mistaken by that or?
Yeah, so I have traveled to recruit, but not students, but professionals to come work at the university where I work at.
Oh,
So when I was in grad school, I went to recruit in Clemson to get professionals to come work at Clemson, and then here I've recruited for 2 years to get professionals to come work in our department.
okay, nice. I'm
Yeah.
gonna let your mom, Camille, hop up on the screen, and then
Okay.
CJ, you could continue with what you're doing now. Okay.
Mhm.
There's Camille. Hey,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm
Make
fine.
sure make sure you're not listening to us on Facebook because I hear an echo. Is it echoing for you or is it?
It's a little bit of echo, probably because we're sitting so close to each
We in
other.
the same room.
Oh, you are.
Me and
Mm.
CJ.
Okay, can you separate a little bit?
CJ gonna move.
Okay, all right.
Oh,
Well, CJ, you come back and talk to us in a second. So, Dylan, if you're doing that, you got your master's, you got your undergrad, all of that, and then in high school, you were actually valedictorian of your class, weren't you?
Yeah, so I graduated as valedictorian. I was valedictorian all 4 years in high school. So we had like a top five banquet, and so I was in the top five my eighth grade year, but I was the salutatorian, and then when I went on to ninth grade through 12th grade, I was number one.
Okay, nice. I'm gonna see. I think I can mute people. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can mute Camille for a second and mute CJ for a second, and then when he gets back on screen, we will discuss whatever with him. So, Dylan, what do you think your next moves are going to be? Because I mean, you're early in your career.
Yeah,
So
so
you got a long way to go to do other things. What's your big goals?
yeah, so I think my big goal right now is to be a dean of students at a university, and so I'm on the path to doing that. A step above that is being a vice president for student affairs or student life, that is called at some schools.
Yeah.
I haven't decided if I want to make it up that far, but I definitely want to be a dean of students for sure. And so what's next after this is, so I work in residence life, and so I'm in an entry level position. And so the person that is my supervisor is called an assistant director. And so for me, that being an assistant director in a residential life department is what's next, or that's my goal.
Cool. All right. Well, that seems like a really great path that you have in front of you. What about personal life? How are things going in that direction?
Yeah, personal life is going well. I think right now it's a little weird because of the pandemic that's happening. And so, but I think I've really found community here in Tampa. So I have a friend group, I have coworkers who have become friends. And then also brunch is something that I really enjoy doing. And so I have a brunch group. And so we haven't brunched in forever because of the pandemic, but we have been able to do virtual brunches. And so we'll all cook a brunch at our own place, and then we'll tune into a video call and catch up on everything. Pop culture, life, the pandemic, and then of course being able to touch in on like what's happening with Black Lives Matter and just like the fight for racial equity.
Right. So let me switch over to CJ. Let him give us a little intro on what he's been doing lately, and then we'll talk to Camille. And Loretta should be coming soon. She's having trouble getting on, so hopefully she'll be able to join us in a minute. So CJ, tell us what's going on with you.
All right. So I'll start where Dylan started. I graduated #1 in my class in 2018. So it's been going on. It's going to be 3 years pretty soon. In a while.
Two valedictorians in your family, which is pretty cool, huh?
It was really cool. So I now attend Maryville College. I've been there. I completed 2 years. I will start my third in the fall. I'm majoring in psychology, so that's what I really want to do, especially once I graduate and going to get bigger degrees. I've gotten really involved in MC Voices of Praise. I am currently the president of that. It's a gospel choir on campus. I've also gotten really involved in our student government, where we do different bills and bylaws to try and make campus better for everyone. I haven't been doing too much besides going to college and trying to learn as much as I can, but now I'm back home. I had to finish my semester online, which was the absolute worst because I don't learn very well that way, but made it through. Still, GPA still looking good. That's basically what I've been up to, honestly, because now I'm at home because of the pandemic, and I don't really have anything to do except for, be safe, to make sure that I don't get it or pass it on to anybody else. And as far as my personal life, it's not there a lot because I only have 2 friends that are home, and we see each other every now and then. But everyone that I've grown closer to, like at college, we're just separated. We're like hours apart. And of course we FaceTime and we text, but it's not the same because I've been so used to the college life of, always being in someone else's dorm room, hanging out, doing whatever together. So personal life is a little weird, but I'm making it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like this is really happening with all of us too, because I haven't seen any of my friends since March, and My kids haven't really seen anybody, maybe a friend or two here and there, but it's usually kind of like a, like a stand out in the yard and talk to each other from a distance situation. So yeah, that's been kind of hard, but we do try to at least get out and walk around the city. We live in the city in Nashville, and but there's not a whole lot more to do. I mean, we really, our creativity and our entertainment is trying to figure out what new type of meal we're gonna make at home. It's getting kind of boring. So what about later on though? You said, okay, psychology, you do want to go and get other degrees and so forth. And did you say like what you would do with all of that? Like, what's your next thing?
So I don't have like a definite plan. I have too many ideas, but I definitely am going to go get my master's in psychology. And usually psychology is such a broad field, they usually ask you to narrow it down or, have some sort of idea what you want to focus on. And I want to do so much with it. I don't know what I want to focus on. So that's what I have to work on within the next 2 years, is figure out what I really want to do with it. One of the main ideas I've been thinking about a lot lately for some reason is working in like a psych ward in a hospital. And there are some outside of hospitals, but I just noticed that some hospitals have like their psych floor and whatnot. So that's been on my mind a lot lately for some reason. But the big dream, like I always say this, the biggest dream is to get my master's and my doctorate degree and open up my own place and be a therapist for children and families and couples. Like I want to be able to do all that. That's the big dream, my own little place.
To have your own thing. That's cool. Well, I wish you a lot of luck in that, but definitely think about which direction you're going to take, because as hard as that is to decide, as long as you think about what's important for you family-wise, what's important for you health-wise, what's important for you career-wise, and then maybe some like really crazy out there goal or dream that you have, write all of those things down on a piece of paper and really think about what's truly important to you. And I can help you with some of that if you want to. I've got an exercise that I do with a lot of clients on that, and it really helps them to focus in on what's important so that the next steps that you do take, at least are answering those questions for you. Is this really truly something that I want to be stepping into? Does it align with my values, my morals, and my goals in life? And if it doesn't, then you go a different direction. So I don't know, just tossing that out there. So Camille, you disappeared. I was getting ready to come talk to you. Where'd you go? Oh, hold on. Let me see if I can unmute you. Okay, cool. So, Camille, we go way back. How are you doing?
Ma'am. I'm good.
You're good. So, where's your sister? Is she having trouble getting on? Oh, there she is.
Oh.
Look, there she is. Hold on. Hey, Loretta.
Hey. I figured it out.
Yay, I'm glad you figured it out. Well, I was just talking to Camille for a second, and I'm going to mute you until I come to you, okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay, so Camille, give me a little background for you. Like, what was it like growing up in Humboldt, and where'd you go to school, and, give us some background.
Well, I went to school at Humboldt High School as well. I graduated. I went to college later on, and I did receive my bachelor's degree from Bethel University. And after that, I worked a little while up, and I did taxes as well. And so now I'm just at home, disabled, just taking it easy and enjoying life. And since the pandemic, me and CJ been hanging. So
now, you're involved in the church in the community. Are you going to church? What's the situation?
Not right now, because since the pandemic, my immune system is not as good, so I'm not ready to go back yet.
Okay.
And since the numbers and stuff is going up, I'm probably not finna go back no time soon. I just listen to it on Facebook.
Oh, so they do it live?
Yeah, they do it live.
Well, that's good.
So I just listen to it that way.
Okay. So are people attending live as well? Are there a lot of people? Are they trying to be, distancing, or are they doing the right thing? You gonna tell
Well,
on them?
the church that I go to, St. John, I think that they are, you can come, but they'll skip a row in between, and
Yeah.
no more than 4 or 5 people to a row. The
Okay.
families have to sit together that out of the same household.
Okay. Well, that's good. So they're trying to keep it safe and
Yes.
keep everybody doing the right thing. That's good. All right.
Yep.
So anything you want to tell me before I switch over to Loretta, and then I want to get into some discussions about life back in the day.
Oh, well, you can go ahead and talk to her, Loretta.
Okay. All right. So Loretta, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So tell me what's going on. You're walking around.
I was gonna do it on the iPad. I was trying to do it on my computer and couldn't do it, so I was trying to get the iPad. But
Oh, okay.
I'll just keep the phone. Hey, Dylan and CJ, Camille.
Now, are you in Humboldt right now?
Yes, I'm home.
Now, tell me a little bit about you. I didn't know you as well when I was younger, and I've only known you more as an adult. So, tell me a little bit about you and growing up in Humboldt.
I grew up in Humboldt, but I kind of grew up out in rural West Tennessee, out in what I call the country, with my
Mm-hmm.
grandmother. I didn't really like Humboldt, but when my mom moved to Humboldt, I didn't have a choice. But like I would spend my weekends and any days that I could out, it's out there in the country.
Uh-huh.
But I did go to Humboldt school, you
Okay.
know, graduated from Humboldt High. I went to Union for a couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got married, had my daughter. I worked in a factory some, and then I decided that I didn't want to be a factory worker, so that's when I got my cosmetology license, and then did my own business.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're still doing hair, and
Mm-hmm.
do you, I think you did something for my mom one time. Tell me
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that.
My mom, when she worked for your grandmother and your mother, you know, I don't know if your mom would ask like for me to come and help do anything, but I was always the kind that I didn't want to do that kind of work. And
Right.
that was just me. But I would, like, your mother would have these wigs, and when my mom would go to her house, I would go with her. I would go upstairs with your mom, and I would take her wigs and I would cut strips out and make tracks and sew it into her hair. I did that for her.
Yeah. I
I would
think
go upstairs.
I already gone to college by that
I,
point.
yeah, you probably was gone because I don't remember. I don't remember seeing you. Like I said when I told you before. I remember helping your mom make some flags for somebody you was bringing home,
Oh,
and I'm assuming the guy may have been somebody from another country or something,
yeah.
and she was doing this dinner or something and needed the flags.
We were having a party. Yeah. Yeah. That
Yeah,
happened.
yeah.
We don't have to talk about that.
Okay.
All right. Well, I wanted to turn the mics on for everybody else and just feel free to just step in and say whatever, whatever you feel like. But I did want to go back and kind of talk about Maggie. Maggie was somebody who took care of me when I was really little, like really, really little. And
Mhm.
but I was I was old enough to know who she was and to remember. And what was funny about it was that she had actually gotten a job at Porter Cable in Jackson
Mhm.
to work, and was not doing the house cleaning and babysitting and so on and so forth that a lot of women did back in those days. And she had gotten away from that life. But of course, for me, here I was just a little girl, and she just disappeared, right? So I didn't know where she was, but I always loved Maggie. And I felt like every time I was in the Strawberry Festival in the parade, I would be riding a float or I would be on a bicycle. I would be doing something in the parade. And we would go down Main Street, starting from our house on one end of Main Street, and we'd get all the way down to the other end of Main Street. And that's where the parade would end. And you guys would be there. It would be Maggie and you, Loretta, and you, Camille, and you guys would be like, Sally, Sally. And I would jump off the float or whatever I was on and run over and get a big hug. And since I was so little, it was always like, wow, I see Maggie once a year at the Strawberry Festival. And I had no idea that she lived just a mile away. I mean, and so that's something that I've reflected on recently, with the pandemic happening and all of this reflection in our lives and what's going on and us having to really think about life in a different way, and with the equality movement that's going on these days. All of these things, these memories have just been flooding back to me and making me realize that I actually was missing her and missing you guys. And I remember thinking, wow, they remember me, or how, things like that. It was always like something that it just stuck with me all my life, that I would see you guys at the end of the parade. And it wasn't until later on in school, when I started going to Humboldt to school, because I went to Jackson to school before, when I would actually see Camille. And then I was like, oh, I know her. So I'm curious, I don't know, what do you think, what happened with your mom? Because she was so adamant about you guys getting an education and you doing the right things. And I know that she took care of you boys after school all the time. So if you got some special memory you want to share with me?
She was probably like that because Dylan and CJ don't know. And I don't know if Camille can remember, but my mom, her dad was a sharecropper. And so her and her siblings, before they would go to school in the morning time, they would have to go work out in the field. And so that's why she would want better for her children and grandchildren, because of having to do that. And being a sharecropper, of course, you was the farmer, you did everything, but that person that owned that land or whatever, they got most of the money.
Right.
And back then, that's where I would go. Like when I said to the country, my granddad, his children had to help him get the harvest in, so you could make money to pay the bills. And so I remember my other aunts talking about they would have to go do stuff in the field early in the morning before they would go to school. And at one point it got to where that they was missing school, and I think my granddad got in trouble, and so he didn't do that anymore. And so, like my mom, when she graduated, then she left and she went to New York. She was being a maid at that time. They had, like she said, live-in maids, where you live with the family, and you stayed there, you made your money. But then she got pregnant with me, so she came back home.
Oh. Now, is in New York, like what area of New York?
The only thing because I never knew my father, so she never like kept up with him. I don't know what happened in that situation, but it was the Bronx. But life was better up there for being a maid or whatever than it was back in the South.
Okay. Wow.
Yep.
Who else has an interesting story like that, or a different one? Camille, if you've got something, I have to.
They probably don't have those
Go ahead.
stories because like because like my mom after the sharecropping thing and all that, then when she got the factory job, that's like a come up for you because you're making good money and you're providing. So they probably don't could build them won't know that part of a struggle or anything.
So what year did she marry what was his name, the preacher?
She wasn't married to a preacher.
He wasn't a preacher?
Camille's daddy?
My dad, he wasn't no preacher.
No, who was it that she was married? I'm sorry. Who was it? You see how screwed up I am about all the memories of this. I'm so glad we're talking because I could see me writing that down somewhere. All right, so who was the man she was it your dad that she was married to? He was her.
Now my dad, he wasn't a preacher. He did like work in the church, and then the second husband, he was a deacon as well. He wasn't a preacher.
Oh, okay. Who was he?
His name was James Hurl. My daddy was James Linford.
Okay, all right. So Harold's the one that I remember. James.
Okay,
Harold.
that's the second one.
Okay. Now as far as like, was she real strict with you girls when y'all were little?
Yes.
Yeah, I bet. I want to hear some things from Dylan and CJ.
But see, my mom was strict, but like when I was little, like I said, this is in the country because she stayed with her parents when I was smaller. But she wasn't strict to where I didn't really get whippings, because we didn't do a lot. But I was a kid. I didn't want to go to school, and so I could always trick her to not let me go to school.
You can trick her.
I would say my stomach hurt or anything. So she wasn't hard on us like that. But she wanted you to act right. But
that strictness carried over to us, definitely. I remember she would like go through my agenda book.
Well, I can see that.
Books and teachers would write notes in them if you did something or whatnot. And I have one memory. I don't know what I did that day, but they wrote it in my book. And I was with my grandmother that night, and she read it, and she's like, we had to come to Jesus meeting. Like, she sat me down, and she was like, this, she listened to me, this is not acceptable. And at the time, it made me, upset that she would get on to me or whatnot. But, it's made me who I am today through, when, she lets me know how to act. And, I mean, I knew how to act, but, you do certain things you're not supposed to. And, like, they let you know that this is not what you're supposed to be doing. And it just gets you back in line.
I seem to remember because after I left and went to college and then I graduated and I was working, and then I would come home for Christmas or whatever it would be. I would come and visit probably 3 or 4 times a year. And when almost every time, not every time, but almost every time I came home, I would stop by and see Maggie. And she'd be sitting on that porch, and I'd come up and just sit down and talk to her. And she would tell me all kinds of things about how she would pick you boys up from school, and she would make sure you got some food. Camille would be working, or Camille would be doing school, or whatever she was doing. And she would make sure, she was like, they're not walking home from school. I pick them up every day. They're not going to be walking from home from school and getting in trouble with all that mess. And, she was really wanting to make sure she protected you boys. And she always was adamant about getting you in church every Sunday.
Yep. Yeah, you had to go to church.
Yeah, you had to go to church. Yep. Yeah. So she used to pick my boys up. When she passed, it was a big difference because I had to make sure I was able to pick them up and stuff.
Sorry about that. My internet went out for a minute.
Okay.
I couldn't hear what was going on. So tell me again, what were you saying, Camille? I was talking and I don't know.
I was just saying, yeah, when she passed, I just had to make other arrangements to make sure I could get my boys and stuff picked up from school. And because they never did ride the bus.
Okay. No.
Even when I moved out here to Kennerfield, CJ didn't even walk to the high school.
CJ was spoiled.
The high school.
True. I did walk in.
Every blue moon.
Yep.
So
I would get up and take them.
So what was happening on the bus or on the walks between high school and home for a bunch of kids? What was going on?
Talking about other children and stuff.
Yeah.
You just didn't want. You just try to keep your kids out of trouble. You didn't want. They would say hang with the wrong crowd. You just didn't want them to get in trouble, which would go stem over to this police stuff. You didn't want them to have to encounter the police. Being a young black boy, you didn't want nothing to go on that you had to go to the police station to retrieve your child.
Right.
Yeah. You do anything in your power to keep that from happening. And we still, to this day, black mothers have to do with their sons and daughters. We have to do like that. We can't, like with my grandson, I don't buy him toy guns because it's so much going on. I don't want him playing with it and the police think it's a real gun and will shoot him. So they don't even get to play with that. I played with toy guns when I was little.
I did too.
We don't dare. And we thought nothing of it. But now I wouldn't dare buy him. No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that. And even back then, it was happening back then. This was I grew up in the 80s. So what year was it you graduated, Dylan?
I graduated in 2011.
2011. Oh, so I'm really old.
I'm older than everybody.
Yeah. So that's that's just hard to deal with. Did anything ever happen in Humboldt with kids that got in trouble? Did anything happen with the police that you knew about?
I'm pretty sure it's a lot of people that has some stories to tell. Like you was, I think you had messaged me about Tracy. She was watching. I thought she would be a perfect person for you to talk to because she's a historian and she do that Black History page. She know a lot of stuff. She really do. And then she's also, like I told you, related to the Clay.
Okay, I'll definitely.
Marriage. But I'm pretty sure some kids has had some stories to tell. I don't remember in our family anything having to deal with the police. Like I said, at all costs, we try to make sure that our kids grow up and stay out of trouble. It's what we tell them, stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
Don't be with the crowd.
Yeah. Like now, even though Dylan is in Tampa and CJ when he's in Maryville, but he's here now, even now, I always say, watch your surroundings. Don't go anywhere by yourself. I just have to watch your surroundings when you go at places. And I always tell them, I say I was FaceTime once a week, but I do it more often than once a week. I call all the time. I gotta have some kind of communications. Not that I'm trying to be overprotective mom or whatever, just trying to make sure they're okay. I want to see their face. So I want to make sure let me see what your face look like. Because do I need to come or anything, any situation can, come up. So I just always like to have communication. But I have one son that don't like to answer the phone and stuff. Ain't gonna call his name.
Who's that? CJ?
I answer the phone.
I can see. He looks guilty right now.
Yes. Now Dylan,
Tracy is watching.
That's what Tracy, you're watching. She needs to talk to you because you got a lot of knowledge. So she watching. That's good.
Look, she said, Loretta, great family interview. Proud of you all. I've just put that up on the screen.
Okay.
She's from Humboldt, so.
But like as far as talking about Humboldt, if it's some older guys that you could maybe talk to, because some people years ago, I think, got arrested in Bailey Park about the statue or something up there. Somebody was talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
I don't
did.
remember. Was Fred Porter and
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know who else. I don't know about D-Berry, James D-Berry. He might have been one of them.
Yeah. I don't know. He might have been.
Those are people that know some stuff that used to. I think they used to protest or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That was way back in the day. But I can remember Sally when I was small out in the country. My grandfather, we would go to the doctor in Bales, and I remember the whites only sign and the blacks. I remember that. I was little. And it would be me, and I would be with my grandmama and my granddad, and they would go to the doctor, but it was the sign for the whites would go in one door and the blacks had to go in the other door. And I was a little girl. I can remember that.
Miss Sally frozen.
Even though you see the same doctor,
Is she?
he touched on you the same way, you just couldn't go in that door.
Yeah.
Is she froze?
I think so.
Oh yeah.
We'll come back.
Her internet.
Mm-hmm. Dylan, what they say about your cases down there in Florida?
They still rising. Yesterday, I think it was like 10,000 in one day.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you probably you may not want to cross your state line.
I know. I've been trying to figure out.
I'm not that I'm trying to be overprotected, but you gotta think about your job. You don't want to put your job in jeopardy.
Yeah.
Somebody was telling me about somebody had went somewhere and they got back to their job, and when they found out that they had been out of state, they made them quarantine for 14 days.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know. It's just not after this holiday tomorrow. That's gonna tell the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sally done went off her internet gone.
Her internet messed up.
Oh.
So I don't know if we supposed to go out and come back in or what.
I think she'll probably come back in.
She'll come back in. It's her thing.
Yeah.
She'll come back from the internet, because I was trying to do it on the computer and I couldn't do it on my. I was trying to do it on my Apple computer. I couldn't do it.
Oh, she trying to get in. She did.
Yeah, when I pulled it up on my laptop, told me that it wasn't supported by Safari. But luckily,
they want you to download that Chrome. What you on with it?
I'm on Chrome. I had Chrome because I used it in college. So luckily, I could
had Chrome.
Yeah.
Oh, I was trying to download it, and I don't know what I was doing.
I didn't download nothing.
You on what?
My phone.
I'm on my phone. Yeah.
I just went to I copied the link and just went to the internet and pasted in the thing and click search.
Well, I didn't do something. I don't know. I didn't. I got it on the phone because Dylan was texting me, but I was gonna try to do it on the iPad, but like the computer, what CJ talking about, the Apple computer, it wants you to have Chrome. I ain't been too long, got my computer, and I don't have Chrome.
I'm gonna go get my laptop charger real quick.
I didn't mess with it before this. I thought I was just gonna click something and pop right on.
Oh.
But this is StreamYard.com.
Y'all, my internet is crazy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. My internet's going crazy. And so I came in with my phone, and it said that the host had to let me in. Well, I'm the host from my computer, but I couldn't get my computer to load. So so here I am. I'm on the phone. I finally got it back. But now I can't see you guys. So there you are. So, all right. So the whole family is outside eating. Can you see them out there? Let's see.
Yeah, I see you.
Are they? I can't see. They're eating dinner.
Oh, okay.
All right, so sorry about the interruption and everything. I hope that nobody left that was watching. Maybe they'll come back. But I wanted to also talk a little bit about, 2008 was when my daddy died, and he died in November, and your mother, Maggie, died 2 weeks later. And I don't know if you guys know this, but this was something, first of all, CJ, you were the one that was with her, right?
Yes.
Would you tell what was going on with her? Because I think she had been going in and out of the hospital some, hadn't she?
I believe she was sick because I remember, she was going in and out of the hospital when she went to doctor's visits. But one thing I do remember is that I feel like she told someone she went to the doctor, but she didn't go. And she was tired.
Right.
She was tired of going to the doctor.
Yeah.
But she told us that she went, but she didn't.
But she didn't go.
Yeah, she didn't
Right.
go.
Mm-hmm.
So now that I'm older, obviously that let me know that she kind of knew what was going on. I think she was ready for it.
Yeah.
And so when it happened, I haven't thought about this in so long. I used to stay over there all the time, and every time I woke up, she'd already be cooking breakfast, and I'd help her finish, and we drink coffee together. That's where I got my coffee start, was with my grandmother. And so that one morning, I woke up, and there was no breakfast started.
There was what?
There was no breakfast started. Like, it was just a quiet house, and that's never what I wake up to there.
Yeah.
And so I went to go check on her, but her light was off, so I couldn't tell that she was out of the bed. So for 10 minutes, I'm just searching the house and everything, and I look outside, her car's still there. So I finally go back to her room and turn on the light, and I see that she's half in and half out of the bed. And I was 8 years old, so I'm thinking, oh, everything's fine. She just slipped out of bed, and I need to wake her up. I don't know. And so I called her name a couple times, nothing happened. So I called my mom, she showed up, and she asked me if I called 911. And I was like, no, that didn't even cross my mind. So then she called 911, and all this stuff happened, and that's when I realized what had happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was a sad time. For a while, no one could say her name without me bursting into tears. I cried in the movie theater. Me and my mom went to go watch Medea's Big Happy Family, the movie, and there was a funeral right towards the end, and she had to get me to stop because we're in a movie theater. We weren't the only ones in there, but I was bawling. And eventually it got better, but that was just a hard transition for me because I was just so used to always being there, and yeah.
Yeah, I remember myself when that happened. So my dad had just died a couple weeks before, and that was kind of we had been through several weeks of him having strokes and getting the day and the night mixed up, and all kinds of just craziness going on because he was literally, just kept having strokes and was confused, and he couldn't talk, not in a way where we could understand him. And it was just a really hard several weeks until he died. And I just remember kind of being in shock after all that time of dealing with the ups and downs of what was happening with him. And it had been a really stressful few months. And then I was at home in Nashville at our old house, and I was about to get in the shower. And I don't know if it was Camille. You may have called me or told me or something. Probably was you. And or you texted me or something like that. And I was in the shower. I stepped in the shower, and then I just started bawling. And I this guttural sound came out of me, hollering up at the heavens above, and it was just such a deep, deep pain. And my husband was like, what the hell's going on? Because he didn't even know. He had no idea anything that was going on. And to be honest with you, I don't even know if he really understood who Maggie was. he knew who you were. You know, he knew about you boys and about Camille and everything, but he wasn't always involved when I would go home and you know, and see any of you. He just knew who you were, but he didn't understand the connection with your mom and your grandmom. So whenever that happened, I don't know. It was like everything over the last several months, even years, just came down on me really hard. And and when she died, it just, I don't know, I just cried. I just really cried. And I also felt this real strong tie to you, CJ. I was very concerned about you and the fact that you had been there with her and all of that. And so I just wanted you to know that I was, you know, really concerned about you then. Because that was a hard time. And of course, I came down to the funeral, and boy, do you guys put on funerals. Oh my, there were a lot of people.
Yep.
Dylan, what do you remember about that time?
Yeah, so I think what's so interesting about my grandma and her grandkids, so she has three, is I feel like we all had our time with her because me and my older cousin Bridget were, I think, 11 years apart. And DJ is set, me and him are 7 years apart. And so we all had that time where we were able to, I guess, spend one-on-one time with our grandma and really get to know her. And so when she passed away, I was a sophomore in high school. And what I remember, she would pick me up and drop me off at school in the morning because I think my mom went to school early. So I would wake CJ up and get him ready for school. And I think he got picked up by someone else. And then she would drop me off at high school. So she had picked me up for school that day. And then I believe, I don't know, was it a Thursday or something? There was a basketball game that night. And so my mom picked me up to go drop some groceries off. I think it was like some milk and something. It was a Friday night. I remember it was a Friday night because Saturday during the morning was when everything happened. And so there was a basketball game. And so after school, we went to the grocery store to drop something off at her house. And then I was like, I'm going to the basketball game. I'll see you later. So that was the last time that I saw her because after the basketball game, I went to the Chinese restaurant in Humboldt. But my mom went to go do something and I sat in the car. And I've always wondered why, you know, but I think everything happens for a reason. And so I guess, you know, what was in my fate of seeing my grandma alive the last time was her. And I did think it was peculiar because my grandma was laying in bed in the middle of the day and our grandma never napped during the middle of the day. And so it was strange. But, you know, she said she was tired and feeling a little sick. So, you know, and I think that, you know, religion plays a huge part in our family. And so I think growing up, when people would pass away, I would always hear, oh, they must have known that it was time. And I think that, I think at that time, maybe my grandma knew, right? And so maybe the time that she was spent laying in bed was one, maybe preparation, but also talking to God and, you know, praying maybe for us, for my mom and my aunt, to make sure that we're in a place where we can move on without her. And so Saturday morning, my mom had woke up and she said that she was going to go check in my grandma, and I was like, okay, you know, just you know, a regular Saturday. And then I remember I was like watching TV or on my phone or something, and then I remember getting a call from my mom, and she told me that my grandma had passed away. At that time, we lived in a house that had stairs, and so my room was upstairs. So I sat there, and I was like, okay, but then when I walked downstairs, that's when it all hit me. And so, yeah, it was hard because I think everyone would call me grandma's boy growing up. And when my grandma would come into a space, they would ask, where's Dylan? And so it was definitely hard.
Yeah, I
But
do. Yeah. Go ahead.
But I think I learned so much from her. And I think she was one of my biggest cheerleaders. She was always talking about what Mr. Dillon is doing. But yeah, so I'm very appreciative of the time that I did get to spend with her and the lessons that I learned from her.
Well, I love that. And if anybody else wants to say anything, I think we could probably wrap this up. I feel like, I just wanted you guys to know how much she meant to me and how much your family means to me. And there were times when I would go home and all I wanted to do was just to go and talk to her sometimes, just to get some understanding about the situation in that town, because you know how it is, you know how it's been over the years. It gets better, and I know, people go through all kinds of changes and things over time, but I feel like that we're still exploring all of this, and there's a lot to be said and there's a lot to be talked about. And I think it's really important that we open up to each other, because that's really the only way we're going to be able to heal in our communities. And I just want you guys to know that I really love you very much. You're very special to me.
We love you too.
Yeah,
She was crazy about you, because I remember her. She always was Sally, Sally, Sally. It was always Sally. I remember her talking about Justin some, but it was Sally.
Yeah.
Yeah, honey. It was on my mama refrigerator in them twins.
Baby, what was on the fridge? Huh?
No babies. Pictures of y'all on the refrigerator.
I don't know. The sound on this is just terrible for some reason. It just keeps clicking and clicking and clicking. So I'm sorry about that.
I know it. I hear she said it was pictures of you and your twins on my mom's refrigerator.
Oh, okay. Okay. Gotcha. All right. Well, listen, I want to give you guys a big air hug, a big pandemic hug across the airwaves. Woo! And I'm sure we'll see each other at some point soon. So if you come through Nashville, stop by and say hello, okay?
All right.
All right. We're going to finish. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
All
right. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Now I have to go stop the broadcast over on my computer. Sorry.
Oh.
All right. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.